Today is Tuesday, June the 3rd, 2025, and Kathy Coerver and Angela Layman and myself, Judy Meyer, are talking to Kathy Bowden.
Yes.
Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, that is correct.
And is that your full name?
Actually, that is my maiden name. My married name is Thurston, but I kept Bowden as my business name because my dad, Charlie Bowden, started our agency, and back in the day, B came before T in the phone book, and that's how people found folks. So I kept it as Bowden for the business reasons. So.
Well, let's go back a little bit and tell us, where were you born?
I was actually born not too far from here. I was born over in Chatham Village. Back then it was called Champ, unincorporated, on Sunnycrest Lane, and lived there until 1966 when my folks bought one of the first homes over here in Carrollton Oaks.
Oh, really?
Subdivision. Mm-hmm.
Was Champ considered Bridgeton at that time?
It was unincorporated.
Oh, I see.
I think it had the Bridgeton zip code, at least where we lived, but my dad said it's unincorporated, so.
And were you of school age? Did you go to school when
Yes.
you lived over there?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go to school?
Mm-hmm. I attended at Penn Junction Elementary School. I was the youngest of four, and my brother was the crossing guard, and all of us attended there until we moved to Carrollton Oaks Elementary.
What street did you live on in Carrollton Oaks?
Pont Drive,
Pont.
right below the elementary school. We lived at the cul-de-sac.
And you went, did you go all through Pattonville schools?
Yes, I did. Went to Holman Middle and went to Pattonville High School, and pretty much grew up in Bridgeton. I always find it interesting when I think back, because we continue to attend church at Penn Junction Baptist Church, which has been swallowed up by Grace Church now. But we left from Carrollton and took McKelvey all the way, and back then we didn't have the 270, we didn't have DePaul Hospital. It was just farmland and woods, and on both sides of McKelvey, and it just built up around me while we were growing up.
Did you, when you went to Pattonville High School, were you in any activities or any?
Yeah. Our family was very sports-minded, and I played first field hockey at the middle school and as a freshman. That's where freshmen attended. And then I played basketball and volleyball at the high school, and I played for BAA at BMAC, softball as well.
So BMAC, was that pretty well established while you were in high school?
I think so. I remember playing racquetball over at the racquetball courts.
Racquetball was...
That was there. I first started playing softball over like at Freeborn Park.
Oh, sure.
Matthews Park was there, and we played softball there as well. And then when BMAC, was developed, we played there quite a bit, and that was my first job, was umpiring.
Really?
For the Bridgeton Athletic Association, yes.
Did you umpire little kids?
Oh, yes. Yeah. They only let us do the younger ones, younger than the umpire was, because I think I was, maybe 14 or 15.
How much was the pay rate, may I ask?
When I started my first paying job at Target,
yeah,
I was paid $3.21 an hour.
Oh.
When I was the umpire, I think they paid per game, and I don't remember. It wasn't a whole lot. So.
Well, when you were Target, was it this Target on St. Charles Rock Road?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Shortly after it opened, I think. At least that's what I remember. But that's where I had my first job while attending high school, and they were very flexible with my schedule because I played sports until 5 o'clock, and then I worked nights there. And
what did you do for Target?
I actually worked in the cosmetics department and just took care of the shelves. checking. I was a checker there as well, and had fun with all the other employees, and we would sled on the Target Hill on snowy days, so that was always fun too.
Did you go to the dancing schools around here? I know there was a dancing school, right on McKelvey?
I was not a dancer.
That's
I am
okay.
still not a dancer, but I did not.
Okay,
I
just
do
wondering.
know, right, I do know of the dancing schools. My children did a little bit of the dancing as well, but.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. When did you meet your husband, and was he a local Bridgeton guy?
No, my current husband is a second marriage, and we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my first husband, I met him at college, and we actually lived in Arizona, and I had my 2 children there, and then became a State Farm agent there. And when we divorced, I wanted to bring my children back here to St. Louis, and State Farm was kind enough to what they called migrate me, and I came back here and had an agency actually up in Florissant. My father, Charlie Bowden, had this agency where we're at now here in Bridgeton, and has had it since 61. So shortly after I returned to Missouri, he decided he was ready to retire, and State Farm allowed me to come back here, right back home, and take over his Bridgeton agency. So we've been in business for 64 years.
Was this building a house, someone's
Yes.
house?
Mhm.
Do you know who lived here?
Yep. The Pruitts.
Oh, really?
Yep. Granddad Pruitt actually lived on the other side of McKelvey and St. Charles Rock Road, and I think he had 5 boys. And I remember this driving back and forth up McKelvey as his boys married, or he may have had daughters too, I just don't recall. He would, give them lots of what land he had, and this was one of them, and it went over to Natural Bridge, and the person who owned this one raised hunting dogs in the back.
Here,
Mhm.
they raised hunting dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So then they sold to Weatherline, and Weatherline is no longer around here any longer, but they were the time and temperature when you 321 2121, and that was the time and temperature, and then I bought from them.
so your father was not in this location.
No, my dad first opened his office down on Raymond and the Rock Road, right across from Branicki's, under the cafeteria that was there. And then when they built this little plaza across from Carrollton subdivision where Tony's restaurant was, everybody knows Tony's,
Uh-huh.
he had an office there. Also there was Gene Love TV and a Quick Trip, and that's where he had the agency until he retired, and I was first there, and then about 3 months before that fire happened.
What was that fire? Was that with Tony's restaurant?
No,
No?
it was actually, there was a shoe repair store there, and unfortunately the owner had put chemicals too close to the furnace, and it just went up, and once it got into the rafters it just spread, and it took out the whole place. But I had moved away from there about 3 months prior, and I was over at the Paul Plaza by Kohl's back when Panera was back in the plaza. And then I think around 2010 we bought this house, and my husband redid the inside. Of course, we had to have contractors do whatever Bridgeton required us to do, and have had our agency here.
It's really charming place.
Thank you.
Really charming. But you do not live here. This is not your residence.
I do not live here. I grew up, as I said, in Carrollton Oaks, and then when I came back to Missouri, my children and I lived on Lonsdale over by the swimming pool until the airport buyout had happened. And then my children and I moved over off of Taylor Avenue, and they attended Bridgeway Elementary School. And
Well, tell me, who are your children? What are their names?
Well, our son is Shane Thurston, and he actually is our office manager here. And then Cody Rose Bowden is my oldest daughter, and she is in charge of hoof stock, which is things like giraffes and rhinos, as well as sea mammals at the Riverbank Zoo in South Carolina. And then our youngest, Maisie Bowden, who lives in University City now. She is actually a doctor of animal behavior, and her husband is awaiting to take the bar exam.
Wow.
So they've got a lot on their plate right
So
now.
both your daughters kind of went into animal husbandry or something to that effect.
They knew what they wanted to do from very, very young.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do you have any pets now?
Oh yes, I've got 2 dogs. Oftentimes they're here at the office. We've got Milo, and then our newest dog, who's just over a year old. His name is Charlie, after my dad, because he is our office dog here.
Oh.
So
What kind of dogs are they?
they're rescue dogs, primarily border collies.
Okay. Are you in the office? We're in the upstairs right now.
Yes.
And the office is all the downstairs.
Well, my office is up here. Right behind me is where they hide me. And then my team sits on the main floor. And currently I've got 1, 2, 5.
I was going to ask you how many.
Yes, 5.
I have come in from time to time.
Well, we welcome everybody.
People are always very helpful. And are the people that you hired, have you known them previously?
Yes, I've got, in fact, everyone who works for me lives very nearby. I've got our receptionist, Angela, lives in Bridgeton. Christine lives in Bridgeton also, and then Donna lives in Florissant. Shane in St. Anne, and then my husband, JD, he's over in, we live in Maryland Heights. And prior, a lot of people know Jeff Tucker. He was my office manager for many, many years, and lives in Bridgeton, and still lives in Bridgeton. And
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
we participate in the 4th of July parade every year.
You do? What do you do in the 4th of July parade?
Well, we usually drive the Firebird unless it's too hot. And we throw either footballs or frisbees, of course the candy, and just we enjoy doing that. I also participate, I'm very loyal to the Bridgeton Kiwanis Club.
You are? How long have you been with them?
Well, I could say ever since it started, because my dad Charlie was one of the charter members. He was one of 4 men who started the club.
What
And-
was their goal in starting this organization?
Well, they wanted a service organization that helped the community, that the businessmen could network with. And they've been very strong in the community, have really done quite a bit for all ages. The main focus is children, but they instigated a lot of programs for the senior citizens. We work very closely with the Pattonville School District and mentoring younger service clubs. We've got the Key Club at the high school, the Builders Club at the middle school, and the K Kids at the grade schools. So,
What do you do for the children? Can you give us some examples?
well, we do a lot of mentoring reading
Oh,
programs. We're at the pre-K schools and the grade schools with doing reading programs. We try to do a lot of family events, like we do the fishing derby that's free for families. That's coming up in June.
Where is that held?
That's held over at Bush Park, and we've been doing that for years, and it's free to everyone, and kids can win prizes. And
Do they have to have a fishing license?
They do not, no. And if they don't have a pole, we can provide some poles. And then the Pattonville Fire District provides refreshments, and Bridgeton Rec Center participates quite a bit, as well as the Maryland Heights.
When is that held?
It's the first Saturday in June. I think that's June 7th this year.
Well, that's coming up real soon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do the people have to register ahead of time?
No, they can register at the pond. So we have a real good showing for that.
And you say they can win prizes?
Prizes, the children, yeah.
What type of prizes do you give away?
Well, we stock the pond with, and I'm not a fisher person, so I might have this wrong, but we stock the pond, and if they catch one of the fish with a tag on it, a tagged fish, then they'll win, maybe a gift certificate or some cardinal paraphernalia or things
nice.
like that. And then there's other gifts that are like attendance prizes that are also passed out, just depending upon how many we have and attending, as well as how many attendance prizes.
Well, I've lived in Bridgeton a long time, and I guess somehow my children never had opportunity to do that. But it sounds like a wonderful event.
Yeah, just keep an eye out in the newsletters for Bridgeton and Maryland Heights. You'll see it there. Facebook, the Bridgeton Kiwanis Facebook page posts about it.
How many members do you have in the Kiwanis organization?
I would say there's probably, I think, somewhere between 35 and 40 right now.
And are there other Kiwanis groups, in the St. Louis area?
There are in the St. Louis area. The Bridgeton Kiwanis is one of the stronger, bigger Kiwanis clubs. Maryland Heights had a Kiwanis club for a while, and they actually formed with us. We still are called the Bridgeton Kiwanis. That's how we chartered, but we really do serve Maryland Heights, Bridgeton, as well as St. Anne for our group. So, and we invite more members.
Well, that's what I was going to ask
Absolutely.
you also.
I would love to invite more members. It's really a way to make a difference for your community. Get to know your community and help just make it a better place for all of us.
Do you have regularly scheduled meetings?
We do. We meet every Thursday at noon at Cyberg's, and we usually have a guest speaker. The last Thursday of every month, it's an evening meeting at 6:30, so those who are working and can't make the lunch meetings can come on the evening meetings too. So.
And do you have, besides the fishing derby, then, do you have other community events you do?
Oh, yeah. We've done the annual pancake breakfast. We started doing that at the Carrollton Club over in Carrollton. That was the best facility to hold the pancake breakfast, and I don't know how long ago that was. I just remember attending. But that's been going on ever since the Carrollton Club was in existence. We also have a trivia night. We do.
Where's the trivia night?
We host a trivia game. We used to host it over here at DePaul Hospital. They would open the May Center for us. Now we have it over in Overland. I can't think of what the name of the place is.
Okay.
And it's a fundraiser, just a lot of fun, where we play different raffles as well as trivia games, and we always host a basket raffle as well. And then we use whatever proceeds we get and give it right back to the community. We also have a senior barbecue luncheon that we've hosted for as long as I can remember, and that's at BMAC, and we provide all the meat and drinks, and then invite the seniors, and it's like a potluck, and we have some type of performer performing music there, and can provide transportation from the different senior facilities, or they can just drive in.
Can any senior come? Are there any
No
qualifications?
qualifications. We do try to get a head count beforehand, but we take anyone who can attend.
When is that usually held?
Okay, let's see. I think that's in September usually.
I've heard of it, but sounds very, very nice.
Yeah. And then Kiwanis, you'll always see them in the Bridgeton Parade, and just about anything we're invited to, as far as if Bridgeton or the Pattonville Fire District asks us to participate, we're all in. So we really do try to make a difference for our community.
That's wonderful. That's really, really wonderful. Well, now that we've kind of gotten up to present time with you, why don't we go back a little bit and talk about maybe what you think about, what Bridgeton was like while you were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
What businesses do you remember
Sure.
that may or may not be here anymore?
Right. Well, as I mentioned, I attended at Penn Junction Baptist Church and would take the route up and down McKelvey all the time. And back then there was the Venture Store, and there was Kmart. The rolling rink is still over there. Coach Life.
Did you go there?
Oh, of course. I was a teenager one time, and
Uh-huh.
oh yeah, went there quite a bit, and went to Winterland. I never could do the ice skating very well, but we would still go to Winterland skating.
Oh, is that the one on
The
St.
ice-
Charles Rock Road?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a library type, but
Well,
not a public library, but
Right. It was actually for the UPC, United Pentecostal Church Library, and UPC has a big church over there off of I forgot what the name of that, Mark Twain Lane. And now they've moved out somewhere in Cottleville, but yes, you're right. After the ice skating rink, it was some type of library book place. And let's see what other businesses. Telsher Hardware, all the Fatted Pig or Cow or something like that was over here at the Carrollton Shopping Center. No, that was at Northwest Plaza. We had Velvet Freeze or something, an ice cream place over there at the Carrollton Shopping Center.
what do you remember about Northwest Plaza? Was it, I should ask you, was it enclosed or were they individually?
When it was built, of
Right.
course, it was an outdoor plaza, and it was situated very conveniently for us at the middle school at Holman, because it was a very easy walk
Oh,
to go over and visit that store. I did have a job there at one of the stores. Same time I was doing Target, I did Christmas work over there, and then they enclosed the Northwest Plaza, and and then they closed the Northwest Plaza. So I'm very pleased with all the development that's there now.
they're trying to have more, aren't they?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have a First Watch over there and
Yeah, quite a few of the fast food restaurants. That's one thing that I do desire for Bridgeton area is I wish that we had more of the small business owners, the smaller restaurants, the non-franchise restaurants. I really miss those. And so let's see. We had the golf store right over there, and then before the tornado hit, the 2011 tornado that made quite a difference along the Rock Road up here, and I remember that quite well. That was boots on the ground for somebody like me in insurance.
oh,
Yeah,
sure.
that was pretty traumatic, and then once again, just here March 16th. So
Right. I always call that one the Good Friday tornado.
Right. So I happened to be out of town when that hit, and a person in State Farm called me and said, "Kathy, are you okay?" And I didn't even know what was going on. My children were playing in a sports tournament, and I was in Kansas City. And when you're at one of those things, all that you're just in the tournament. And there was another State Farm agent, Max McGowan, who had they called it the log cabin, and it landed on Highway 70. Now there's a car wash there in the fire station, but that's where the log cabin was. And
oh my goodness.
He landed on Highway 70. And,
wow.
So I came home immediately because, there were a lot of people who were out of homes and just needed to get going.
Right. We've had, in Bridgeton, we've had some tornadoes come through.
Tornadoes, the hailstorms are substantial here too. So we call it Tornado Alley for a reason.
Yes, and that's for sure. Would my friends like to ask Kathy anything? Kathy, would you like to ask her anything in particular?
Well, I assume you're really busy right now with all of the claims from the hail damage and everything.
Yes, the hailstorms cause a greater number of claims than what the tornado, or at least the March 16th tornado, because it struck a very specific area where the hailstorms are more widespread. And, people will say, well, my neighbor's got hail damage, why don't I? And it's a huge difference, and I understand that completely, but it just depends on elevation of roof, how old your roof is, that kind of thing. And I just encourage, I don't care who you're insured with, just be patient. It's hard, an insurance company does not have people just waiting for hailstorms to happen.
I hope not.
Or tornadoes to happen. So when that does occur, we have to bring folks in from all over the country, and it's not like they can just get there the next day. They have to close their files, transfer their files to whoever's going to take them over. They have to get themselves packed, say goodbye to their friends. They have to drive here because they have to have a car here. I mean, and they come from all over, California, Florida, and then they get here. So it is a lengthy process, and it's very frustrating. I understand that.
So do you actually go visit some of the properties that are damaged?
Yes, when we had the March 16th storm, State Farm agents have the ability to write checks on the spot.
Wow.
Because people cannot live in their homes and need to be elsewhere, and it's it's such an event for someone. One day they're fine and happy in their home, and now they can't live there and they have nothing. They can't get into their home to get things. I'll never forget from the 2011, I had a man come in and said, I needed fingernail clippers, and I didn't even have those, because his house was condemned. They wouldn't allow him. It was too unsafe to go there. So we can see these people are going to need money, and we write checks to them, and just to get them started a little bit down the path towards being comfortable again.
So have you ever worked with FEMA or any of the government agencies?
Well, FEMA, actually that is, we are required to sell like flood insurance policies because it is a government organization, and they count on the private industry to get the policies out, but we do not get involved in their claim settlements or anything like that. So that is through federal programs.
Angela, would you like to ask Kathy anything?
I don't think I've heard about the ice skating rink.
Oh,
Could you tell me more about where that was?
Sure.
Something that's there now that I know?
It is something is in India Bazaar or something is getting ready to go in that area. It's completely, the ice skating rink is completely gone, but it was back in middle school, well, probably high school too. We got to do field trips, And that was always, we'd have a week of going to for PE class of going to the ice skating rink. And of course you were supposed to learn how to ice skate. I never did. But, so it was on the north side of St. Charles Rock Road, just before you got to the little strip center that's right before Branicki's. So that's about where it is. And I mean, it's not there any longer. You can't, there's a packaged liquor store there right at the corner, but back behind it was where the ice skating rink was. And then we also would go to the bowling alley, and we didn't do Carrollton Bowl then. It was I think they called it Strike and Spare over in St. Anne. That was another field trip that the school would take us to. We'd do a week of bowling. And then of course down St. Charles Rock Road was the drive-in theater. We also
In St. Anne?
Mm-hmm. The High Point, I think it was called High Point.
Airway, wasn't
Airway.
And the
Yes.
four screen.
Yeah, and we had a lot. We had the Jerry Lewis Theater over here on Natural Bridge Road. Now it's some type of surgery center, but there was a theater there, and then we had the theater at Northwest Plaza. I think that was probably the first theater that I went to and saw It's a Mad, Mad World. So that's gonna date me too. Back then you got to smoke in the theaters, not me, but
Right.
other folks did.
So did the middle school let you walk over there after school? You said you went from the middle school to the
Northwest Plaza?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a lot more liberal when school let out. A lot of kids walked and did not get on the buses, and when school was out, from what I remember, school was out. So, yeah, we would go over to Northwest Plaza quite a bit, and then during high school, of course, it was Creve Coeur Park that everybody would head down there, and we also did a lot of what we called cruising.
Oh, yeah.
There was at Lindbergh and Old St. Charles Road, the Steak and Shake used to have the skaters that would come out and take
Oh,
your
really?
orders. Mm-hmm.
A car hop.
Right, and you'd talk into the device, but then it would be the people skating and bringing your food out to you, and directly across was McDonald's, so you'd cruise around Steak and Shake, and then you'd cruise around McDonald's, and then cruise around maybe your boyfriend's house or something, and then start to cruise again.
Uh-huh.
So
You said you had older brother.
mhm,
Did you have an older sister as well?
right, I've got 2 older brothers and an older sister, and
Did they also graduate from Pattonville?
everyone graduated from Pattonville. I'm the only one still in this area. However, my sister lives in St. Peter's, and my oldest brother lives in Moscow Mills, and then my second oldest brother, he actually lives in South Dakota.
Okay.
So,
And when I was first talking with you and we were trying to come up with a time to meet, you were getting ready to go on a trip.
oh yeah, that was wonderful.
What kind of trip did you go on?
My husband and I met friends for a Mediterranean cruise. We spent 2 days in Rome, and then it was a 10-day cruise, and saw quite a bit. We were right there at Mount Etna last week, and Mount Etna is the one that the volcano that erupted on Monday. So
Oh,
that
wow.
was, it's apparently a very active volcano, but that was a wonderful trip, and back now and working again.
Well, thank you so much for letting us come and visit with you, and we really appreciate you sharing, stories of Bridgeton, and I appreciate your involvement in the
Absolutely.
Kiwanis, and I hope that maybe the word gets around that you can recruit some more people.
We'd love to have you. Come and visit, see what we're all about.
Thank you very much,
Well,
Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you.